Hi all, and thanks for joining me for today's webinar where I'm going to be introducing SAP Analytics Cloud. I'd like to thank everyone who's filled in the little questionnaire down the left-hand corner just regarding the familiarity with the product. So it's quite varies in people's how familiar they are with the product. So I'll make for some interesting Q&A at the end as well. Also, please note that my colleague Luis is online as well, and he'll be able to answer questions throughout on the chat that is based in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in and share my screen, and we're going to begin. Okay, excellent. So before we get going in today's webinar, I actually want to give you guys a bit of background into the product and into myself as well. So my name is John Higgins, and I'm a business enabling specialist within the SAP Analytics team here based in Vancouver. And my role as a business enabling specialist to help customers gain understanding of the product, helping them to use the product to make smarter business decisions based on their data. These customers I deal with from a day-to-day basis really do vary in size and within industry as well. So it can be from a large high-tech or pharmaceutical company to a small consultancy firm as well. But similar like today, no matter who I'm speaking with, my goal is always the same, and that is to make sure people get a better understanding of the product and they're more equipped to get the most from the product, SAP Analytics Cloud. Also, one other thing, I'm also one of the main webinar coordinators for this webinar series. So feel free to suggest any feedback as well. I'll also like to mention that we do run a series of webinars every month, a couple of business intelligence one. We also have a Spanish speaking one as well as a planning and a predictive webinar each month as well. And the aim of that is to just help people really get a better understanding of the product, and it's a good starting point. And a bit of information about myself outside of work is that I'm actually, as you may have already figured out from my accent, I'm Irish, and I've been living here in Vancouver for the last year, and I absolutely love it here. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to go over today's agenda and essentially just cover what we're going to go into today. So as you may have read from the description, today's webinar is based around the business intelligence, the BI capabilities of SAP Analytics Cloud. I'm going to speak about a bit of brief introduction before we get into that, into the product overview, some of the key components, the connection overview. These are frequently asked questions around this area as well. And it's just a taster of some of who our customers are. Then we're going to jump into and then I'm going to discuss the BI capabilities, so the various capabilities that we have within the business intelligence suite. And then we're going to go to the demo element. So this is where the product training element will come into it. And I've broken this down into 5 relatively simple steps in order to help you get a step up on getting started. And these are broken down in, as you can see here, I've listed them in. So we're going to import some data. I'm going to show you guys how we define and clean this data. Then we're going to create models and then visualize and then create some dashboards as well. And then finish with a Q&A at the end, or a Q&A at the end as well. So like I said before, we also have my colleague Luis online here as well, who will be able to answer any questions throughout in the chat. So what is SAP Analytics Cloud? So I just want to actually, I suppose, get into the product itself, give you guys a bit of an interesting fact. We've recently had a name change in the product as well. So this name change it was SAP Business Objects Cloud, and now it's been changed to SAP Analytics Cloud. And this was back in May, and this was announced in the Sapphire event that we had. So forgive me if I accidentally call it back to Business Objects Cloud. So then we're looking at the different components. So what makes SAP Analytics Cloud so unique and so innovative? And as we can see, we're actually bringing multiple different analytic capabilities. So we have business intelligence capabilities, we have planning and forecasting, predictive analysis, and digital boardroom. And this is all designed within the one SaaS solution. So now we're going to jump into, I'm going to actually discuss, what is my one of my favorite things about working on this product is that it is such an innovative solution. It's something that it's something that's been tried that hasn't been tried before, where we're incorporating all these different analytic capabilities and having it in a SaaS-based product. And it's one pure cloud experience. This helps reduce costs and faster setup as well. But then the main capability and the main element of the product that customers really love is the business agility and how it allows users to connect to the data from wherever and wherever. So that might be from the office desk or in the boardroom, or even if they're on site with a customer as well. They can easily, just accessing a browser, they can actually access this data and show their findings. So I put this slide in here as well as this connection overview, that we get a lot of questions around this. Obviously, being a cloud-based product, people are interested to find out how can we connect to the likes of their on-premise databases. So this is just an overview, an architectural overview of how we do connect. We connect to all the various cloud applications, on-premise databases, and so on. So up the top left, you can see some of the success factors, Google Drive, Salesforce, how we can connect to them through the cloud. Then we have cloud databases such as SAP Cloud Platform and S/4HANA Cloud as well. And then we can also then go to a local network as well, where we can jump into the local network, such as BPC, BW, ERP, and we have a live connection to some other on-premise databases like SAP HANA and SAP BW. And what I mean by live is that the data actually will remain on the on-premise database, and this is a live connection that's set up between both. So this is quite an interesting and neat feature for customers that sometimes are maybe apprehensive or might have some restrictions in terms of pushing data into the cloud. With a live connection, it meets this. And this slide here, I'll give you an overview of the customers around the world. So we have a wide range of customers pretty much spreading all across the world, and that will only continue to. Okay, so let's discuss what we're going to focus on today, and that's the business intelligence capabilities within this product. So you're able to use the product and analyze the product in real time by leveraging the power of SAP Cloud Platform. You'll be able to explore your data by connecting to multiple different data sources such as local files, cloud connections, and even some on-premise databases like we touched on before. Users can transform complex data sets into simple charts to get quick and easy decisions, quick and easy business decisions based on their data. And then the last would be the collaboration features. These are one of the features that I've found customers really like about the product. So they're able to actually collaborate with other users in real time, easily share their findings with customers or suppliers, even partners. And as I was saying, this is a really, really enjoyable and really liked feature. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the product now itself, guys. I'm just going to jump into the product itself now, and this is go to SAP Analytics Cloud. This is just a screenshot of the page here, and I just want to highlight the trial that we have. So we have a free 30-day trial on our website as well. Now I'm going to jump straight into the product here. So as you can see, this is the screen here. What you first appears when you actually log into the product itself. Just want to mention a few things from this homepage. There's a lot of useful information within here, a lot of things we can do as well, such as we can actually go up to the top and edit our home screen by any chance to get it started stuff, recent stories, or we can add them in as well. And we can manipulate the format of your home screen at any time as well. Over in the top right, I just want to notice that we have profile here, so you can see I'm in my own profile. I can make any edits to that, such as change language or any sort of information there. We have the discussion tab here, so I can discuss in real time with other users in the account. We have an activity log, and we also have this particular feature here. It's the help center here, and there's a lot of useful resources in here. So we have the quick starter guide here, and we have a video gallery as well as a help center as well. And we can actually search. So similar to like a Google search, you can search by whatever you're looking for, and the resources should pop up for you here. So feel free to use this area as much as possible, because there's a lot of useful information in here. Then we also have this particular feature here, this collaboration feature and the notifications. So I could see there yesterday my colleague Luis actually mentioned me in a comment, and actually commented me and left a little comment there, as we can see. So this is, as we mentioned before, some of the collaboration features that we have, and that's the notification tab there. Okay, so first things first we want to do, if you remember, I broke this down into 5 different steps. The first thing we want to do is actually import some data, and there's a number of different ways we can do this. So if we want to just start off, we could actually just grab a file and drop it here and drop it straight in here, and away we go. But my recommendation to use is actually go through the model. The reason for that is because once you actually create a model and the data is stored and saved in the product, you can use that multiple different times to create dashboards with. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go up to the top here in this top left hamburger, hit the drop down, and I'm going to go to create. I'm going to say model. So I'm selecting this model, and we're going to say we're going to start a new model. So we'll just see the various different things we have to create a new model. So we have to start from a blank model here, and what that is essentially users manually importing the data. We have importing the file. We have some of these cloud applications, so data from a cloud application such as Google Drive, Concur, SuccessFactors, Salesforce, OData as well. And then on-premise, so once we have an on-premise connection set up to any of these, we can actually then plug in and actually pull data from here as well. But for today's webinar, I'm just going to bring in a local file. So I'm going to select the file source, and I'm going to use this full drinks data set here and open that up and select import. Now what this will be doing is be importing the data similar to an Excel file structure, where we'll have different columns and rows. And what the product will also be doing now is using smart modeling feature. It'll actually define what each column is. So the product is kind of designed in a way that allows users to spend as minimum time here as possible, and actually spend as much time visualizing data, and not less data wrangling and more data visualization. Well, for me, I find a lot more fun visualizing the data than sometimes wrangling it. But the product itself is quite simple to actually map and clean and define the data. And that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to change the name of this file. So this model, we're going to call it drink sales data. And we're going to go, we can see here, we have all these different columns in different places here. And what we want to do is make sure we have each column and each bit of data point defined with the right attribute. What I mean by an attribute is if it is a dimension, or if it is a time dimension, or if it's a measure. So the difference being something like quantity sold. Quantity sold is a measure, and simply how we can explain that is that it's something we want to get a cumulative value of. Where compared to someone like managers, that is something we want to track. So we don't want to get a cumulative value of managers. We actually just want to track this. So we can see that we have actually the data quality of this data set is quite clean. So there's no errors within this data. If there was, we'd see here in this bar, this green bar here, there'd be some bit of red, and it'd tell us and identify and error might be. I'm just going to jump over to this card view here at the top left, guys. This view I particularly enjoy quite a lot. Reason for it gives you a really good overview of your data. It it takes each column and puts it into a card view. So we can see the different attributes for each data point. If we wanted to change any of these, we could simply do it by, let's say, quantity sold here. And I could change that to a dimension or something like that. I simply just hit the type and select whatever one's relevant there. Or something like a managers, I might want to change that. I could say into a measure. Wouldn't make sense, but I just want to show you guys that it pops up as an error and it says invalid, and it'll tell us why, and it'll say invalid values. And it has a little brief description here now as well. We'll change it back to a dimension now as well. There's a few other things we can do. We can actually, I suppose, map and define our data and that a little bit more in depth as well. There's a few different things we can do. So as I can see from this data set, I have this product and product category. So product category, what we can do with that is create a parent-child hierarchy. So I can determine that product category is the parent of product. And how we do that is start from the bottom. So I go over here to product. I can add in a attribute and parent-child, and then select the parent, and that's product category. And now we'll see that this little 3-point marker here, that actually lets us know that there's a drill down on product category. I'll show you that later on as well. In this area as well, we can easily geo-enrich our data. So how we can do that is, once we have something like we have here a warehouse, and I have the warehouse latitude and longitude. What we can do here is, we can actually geo-enrich this, so we can actually see this in the map. We can actually visualize our different warehouses in the map later on. So how I can do that is I go over here, geo-enrich by coordinates, and I'm going to say warehouse quickly give it, and we have a location identifier, and now we have the latitude and longitude. So it's the warehouse latitude, and I'm going to map that then with the warehouse longitude. And I've created that, and now we have the warehouse location here. I could do the same for the stores as well as states, but you can see how it's quite easily done there, guys, by geo-enriching the data once you've got the latitude and longitude information. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to start creating this model. I'm going to create this model. I'm happy with there's no errors in our data. We've mapped and defined our data, and we've done further stuff such as creating hierarchies, and even gone into some geo-enriching. So once I've created this model, now we essentially go to the third step, or we actually go to the next step, and that is where we can explore this data. So we've imported data, that's the first step. We've cleaned and mapped the data, and now we've just created the model. So the fourth step would be to explore some of this data. So if there's any questions throughout, like I mentioned at the start, feel free to add them into the chat. And my colleague Luis will answer them accordingly. We'll also have a Q&A at the end anyway as well. So I've created the model, and it's brought me to the back end of this model. We can see the different measures here in accounts. We can see here some of the different dimensions. So in products, we can see the hierarchy that has been created. And we can see the list on the right-hand side. So we've got like alcohol, and underneath that we can see we've got beer, tequila, vodka. That looks good. Carbonated drinks, yeah, juice, apple, orange, pineapple. It all seems to look pretty good there. If we wanted, we can add another one in. So let's say if I wanted to add in something here, and we're going to add in a product. let's have this product as wine here, something like that. And it's popped up at the bottom. What I can do is I can actually drag and drop it into the most relevant areas here. So I'll drag it and drop it under alcohol. I wanted I could drag and drop stuff wherever I wanted as well. We could create other hierarchies as well. So say if you wanted the likes of tequila and vodka, or vodka underneath tequila or something like that, that means we have three different hierarchies. We'll leave it under alcohol for now. Okay, so I'm going to save this model, and now we're going to start exploring the data. So we can see it's being created there, and now I can go to create, and this time go to story. Or if I wanted, I could go back to the home page and go to create a new story. Two different ways we can go about this. I'm going to say import existing data, use existing data, and we're going to call what this one was, drink sales data. If you remember, that's what we called it earlier. And I'm going to hit OK. Now we've got this view. This is Explore Your Data view. This is where users can get quick readings based on their data. For example, if I was asked what is the sales revenue and I open up all these other dimensions. This is the overall sales revenue for this data set. Let's look at this as a date. So let's look at the different years. And as we can see over the last few years, we can see 2013, 14, and 15 has had a steady increase in sales revenue. What's obviously great. I could actually drill down a little bit further and go into each week as well if I wanted. That's because we have this time. This is a time dimension. We could change it up. So let's say sales revenue, and let's bring in the product categories as well. Let's just look at alcohol. I could change the types. This is a line chart, but I could change it to comparison chart as well. Could add in different states as well. Or just select one particular one and see the significance. So now we can see that actually the sales revenue in alcohol in California took a hit in 2015 compared to 2014. If I wanted, I could actually copy this particular chart then into the new canvas. I could filter and sort whatever way I wanted as well. Sort by date or lowest to highest. But what I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to go back to this data view and I'm going to select it and come out of here. And what we have now is this blank canvas. Canvas being a page of a page within the dash. I suppose it's a dashboard page. And it prompts us to add an object to the canvas. So that being a chart, a Geo Map, a table, so on like that. But I'm going to actually just show you guys something that's pretty interesting and something that's useful if you wanted to try it yourselves, is build my story for me. I select this and it brings me to this view where it prompts me to select whatever measures and dimensions within this data set I want. So I'm just going to select a couple of quick ones now. State, warehouse, manager, product, something like that. And I'm going to hit create story. Now within just a couple of quick clicks, I've actually been presented with this dashboard screen here from whatever measures and dimensions I've just selected. So it's quite a useful and interesting feature to get started with. If you didn't like any of the particular information in the chart, you can always edit it as well by selecting the chart itself, going over to Designer, underneath Builder, and chopping and change it whatever way you like. So if you wanted to take out Sales Manager's pub location in there or something like that, or you wanted to change the color. So that's some useful information in there as well. We can add a second page, so I'm going to just rename this, call this sample. And then in here, I'm going to add a new canvas. And we're going to call this one then, call this one John. And I'm going to add in a chart. So now we have this blank canvas and a blank chart. Once again, we want to go over to Designer and underneath Builder. Once we've selected it, I can start determining what measures we want to add in as well as dimensions. So if we look at quantity sold, and we're going to look at the sales managers here. Drag this out, and I can see then the different levels of quantity being sold per sales manager here, and it can vary quite a lot as well. If you wanted, we could add something like a line here. So someone like sales managers, they'd probably have targets. So we could enter something like here, target. Or, sorry, we enter the value in here. So the value being, let's say it is 20 million. And add the label here, so target, and hit OK. So now we can see visually who's over and above, or we could do some conditioning formatting if there's actually a particular thresholds that we have. So we need to make sure with the right quantity sold, the right measure in place. I'm just going to add 2 for now. And the lowest bound here, 0, upper being 15. And add that in and select done. Now, visually we've seen nothing, but what I can do now is underneath in color, I can add in threshold now as well. So now we can see the 3 sales managers that are below the threshold. And we could do some further analysis in here. Add that, select each one of them, and then select the little filter. And what we could do is add something in here. So maybe it might be, how we will add a dimension. We might say, might be their territory. So the location might be the issue. So it seems to be whatever locations they have are quite bad performance. So that might be the issue, or you can have to pull away whatever you want from there. Let's go back to the overview. I can add a second. So up top, I'll insert a second chart here. In this chart now, we can just change whatever way we can add in whatever we want in here. We could even create a calculation. So let's say if I wanted to create the gross margin percentage and multiply by 100. Now what we've done is we've actually worked out using the calculation, the formula that we've had, the gross margin percentage share. So we can see it's 28.46. We can make that a numeric point to make it look more visually impactful, and we can change the label of anything we want here as well. So gross margin percentage. We can also insert a table as well. We can insert tables in here, and like a chart, we can actually we can chop and change whatever we want in here as well. In this particular table, so in this table, we're looking at the whole spread in terms of locations, quantity sold per location. I could add a Geo Map as well. Now, because we've geo-enriched our data from earlier, I can actually create some layers on this. So I set up this Geo Map. I need to go up top here and add a layer. First things first, we need to make sure we're using data we want, and that is drink sales data. And now we can see the warehouses that we have. We could add a bubble, so we could say, let's say the most quantity sold, and we could look at how it varies in quantity sold. So we can see the spread in terms of our warehouses here. So we want Seattle and so on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump out of this story and go to a pre-built story for you guys. Well, this is an interesting story that I'm going to show you now. I'm going to go to Browse and Story. Leave this page. And I'm going to go to this particular story. It's quite an interesting one because it brings in data from multiple different data sources. I spoke to earlier on during the PowerPoint. I spoke about the different ways we can bring data into the product. So this is a company that's looking at the product, the overview of the spread of the employees. We can see from the map here. And like I said, in this particular headcount per team, with contractors and employees, I could select this here, go over to Designer, and I can see the data source we're using in SuccessFactors. But because we're able to actually use this feature, link dimensions, so linking models, what I was able to do now is select a primary model being SuccessFactors and bring up a second one, so field glass. And once there is one dimension linked, actually pull data from both of these models. So we can let's want to add another one, so like category and category. Link them. It doesn't really matter. All that actually matters is that one is linked. I'll hit set. So now we can actually quickly see I suppose we can jump from different data sets as well. Okay, so just going to go over this now once again. So it's field glass, and we have category and category. We also have organization and organization. And we can see then the other linked models, linked dimensions that have been added. So what we're able to do now is see in measures we have employees. And this employee data comes from the primary model, what is SuccessFactors. Then what I was able to do is actually switch. So we have the employees and actually switch then to field glass and pull up contractor data then from here. So we can look at the company as a whole. Now we can see that there's a lot of contractors in there, but that might be because a lot of the contractors might not be active. So I need to add a filter in here, make sure the employee status and make sure they're active. Now in that chart that's labeled headcount per team, we can actually get a better overview here. So employees, we have eight full-time employees in user experience and 2 contractors. Engineering, we have more contractors than actually full-time employees. So that might be something that the company might want to address. So then what we probably caught your eye when we first came into the story is this map up at the top, where we're looking at, we've loads of different layers in place here. We've 4 different layers in place, and we've got data from different areas coming into this particular map. So I'll show you now. I'll just hide a few of these. So we have headcount team. So we've most of our employees in the Vancouver office. We've some in Germany, New York, San Francisco, and what we can see then is the destination. So where most of our employees are traveling to seems to be to San Francisco or to mainland Europe. And we can see the routes that they're taking as well using the layer map and our carbon footprint as well. If I wanted using the linked analysis, this feature up top here, what I can do is now I select entire story. So for this particular map or chart, whatever you select, but in this case it's a map. Once I do some analysis within this map, it'll actually affect the whole entire story and each other chart that is relevant to it. For example, let's say if I draw a circle around, and I'm just going to analyze the west coast of North America, filter on that. See all the different data points changing here? So now we're just actually analyzing everything just in the west coast of America that's circled here. And this will reflect, because I selected throughout the entire story, this will reflect throughout each page that we have in place. If I wanted to come back out of that again, easily just select it and hit exit here. So this is, as I said, this story and these particular dashboards that you're viewing right now, it just gives you guys a taste of the full range from a BI element that the product is capable of. So I'm going to make sure I save this. Now I can use once this story has been saved, I can actually share this with a colleague. So I go up to share story. I can share this story with various colleagues of myself. So put in my colleague Logan in here. I can define what access he gets. So can he get read? Does he get updated? Full? So I could just say full control, send here as well. We can also group particular users. So if you had one group of users in, let's say, the marketing, them see this particular story and no one else, instead of having to tag each individual one, you can group them and just tag that group. Okay, guys, so that's we've covered quite a bit today. Also, the last thing I want to show is another collaboration feature, just the comment feature here. So as you may have seen from Mike Luis earlier, did comment on a story with me. So now I could add him back in here and say, and place comment here. Luis then will get that notification. He'll get an email into his inbox, letting him know that that I have actually commented on him and mentioned him in a comment, and that he'll also get a notification up top here as well. So that we've covered a good bit today, guys. We've gone through how we can import your data, how you clean and map your data, and actually create a model and then explore it. And then we've gone in and created some nice dashboards there as well. Just want to finish off the PowerPoint that we have now. So, like I was mentioning earlier, there is a trial, a 30-day free trial on the SAP Analytics Cloud website. So if you haven't already got access to the trial yet, please feel free to go onto our website and actually register for the trial. And you actually get an email from someone like myself, business enablement specialist, helping you in whatever way we can as well. So recap on what we've covered today. We've covered some of the basics and some of just the introduction into the SAP Analytics Cloud, the product itself. We've gone into BI capabilities and data visualization. And like I mentioned, the 5 steps that we covered as well. So these are the 5 steps to help you get started. So like I said at the start, we do have we have a good bit of time now, so we have about 15 minutes or so for a Q&A. So I know my colleague Luis has been answering questions throughout. So what I might do is just see if there's any questions. So people, if no one has any questions so far, please feel free to add them in, and we'll do what I can do to address them. So my colleague Luis has just informed me that there's been some good questions around the collaboration features. That's pretty good. So I've actually just gone in and shown that. Also, I just want to mention if anyone had a particular questions or we didn't cover anything, we didn't cover a particular element that they wanted to see addressed today, please feel free to reach out to myself. You'll be able to reach me at my email listed here. So feel free to reach out to me at any point as well.
John, one of the questions is, are collaboration features include external email messages?
So some of the collaboration. So yes, once you collaborate with someone within the product, you do get an email from your SAP Analytics Cloud account notifying you about this as well. So you haven't actually just got to be in the product to be notified. You actually get that. So whatever email address you have, listed as the user, that'll receive an email anyway to trigger the reminder to you.
Are there any other questions in the...
So yeah, guys, we still have a good bit of time for any questions. If you have any questions, anything particular, if you even wanted me to actually go over anything that I've went through before, I may have gone over a bit too fast. If you want me to go back over that, I can do so also. So we've got Darren's put in regarding how to schedule imports. So I'm going to just jump back and show you guys this particular feature here. So what Darren's referring to there is once you've set up a connection. So once you've set up a connection to something like an on-premise database, by going up to, so we can see here connections. We'll see listed the various connections that you have. Once we've got a connection set up, so I've got the likes of connection to Concur and to SuccessFactors. What I can do then is go over to this schedule status here, and I could create a new schedule in place here. So we can see whatever schedule I already have set in place. Click into this and view it. So we can see the information. There in the share screen. So what I was referring to there is regarding the schedule was in connection. I can see some of the various connections I've set up. So within this actually particular account, I've only have actually Concur and a Fieldglass connection set up. So once I have these connections set up, what we can do then is go up to here on the right hand side and schedule status, and I can actually, so I'm just going to, I already have this schedule set up for success factors. I'm just going to show you guys, we just create a new one up top here, but we can see the details that I have. So we can determine when this is, so is it reoccurring or once, we can see repeat here. So I have this just down as none, but if I wanted, I could set this as repeat, and how often, so every, let's say, every day, we could say, we can determine when we want that to end as well. And that's just some of the information regarding creating schedules there.
So, can you explain a little bit to append?
Sorry. So there was a question regarding appending information as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and show that now. So we go back into a model. So we go to an existing model, and this might be if we've got new data coming into a particular model, and how we can actually, I suppose, merge this data. So with new data in a particular file, how we can actually bring in the new data from a data file. We just go in here, and we select whatever relevant other new file we have, or the updated one, and hit open there. Well, the question I actually get when people say, if I've 2 or 3 different data files, am I better off appending them to make it one big data file? Depends on the data set, but I think it's a lot of times, unless it's just updated data, you're better off just actually creating 2 or 3 different models and just using the link dimensions feature I mentioned earlier. So you can actually have 3 or 4 different models and have one dashboard though. So all the data in one dashboard, just living in 3 or 4 different models, whatever it may be. So as we can see here down the bottom, import data, this is where we go into it, we clean, replace, or append here as well. Excellent. So we see a few more questions there. So I think we've a bit more time for more questions. Please note we also actually have a little survey at the end there coming up as well. So Darren's also asking about connection to Universe. Unfortunately, I don't have the connection set up at the moment. Darren, if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to myself after this, and we can send you on resources and information about how to set those connections up, so how we can set up the connections to like the Universe and so on.